and then I'll stop. Okay, yeah. Cool. Okay, just to confirm again, can anyone like all of you can type? You are able to hear me, right? Yes, cool. Okay. Let me go back to where we left off. Okay. So this is where we left off, right? We did some functions. I told you about parameters and everything, right? And I gave you two tasks, if you remember. Okay. There were two assignments that were given to you guys. Did any of you guys actually implemented that or not? Hmm? You guys implemented it? Just quickly paste your code on Zoom chat. Exercise that Christmas tree one. Just paste the code for Christmas tree one. If this is your first class, I can't help it because we are done with Python. Now learn Python by yourself. This is the last class for Python. Okay. Okay, no one has a quick code. I'll just show you. Okay. What was supposed to be done. So we have something like this Christmas tree thing, 1111. Okay. And I said display the image below to the right hand side where the 0 is going to be a space. Okay, this will be a space, and 1 is going to be a star, and this will reveal the image. Okay, and then you had to put in logic to replace 1 and 0. It is similar to a very that password exercise that I gave you, but a bit more as advanced because now we are using two-dimensional array and you had to use loops. So you use a loop, okay? You use a loop in that picture. So first loop is for this array, outer array, because it is two-dimensional, right? Second loop to iterate over the inner array, okay? Is most of you able to hear, are most of you able to hear my voice? Guys, then if you guys are able to hear my voice, ping your esteemed good friends who are not able to hear me that please fix your connection. You can reply to their comment, okay? So that I won't now look at it. Unless if you are not able to hear me, then bulk ping me with like I'm not audible, okay? So if like 5 or 10 people start complaining like all together, then I'll understand, okay, there's something issue with my end, okay? Okay, so I'll just move forward. So now for image in picture, we iterate over it. It is a two-dimensional array. So we iterate over the first one and then we iterate over the inner one. Okay. And then we can iterate over these elements one by one by one by one. Right. And what we are doing simple logic, right? We are checking, okay, we are seeing if something is truthy, okay. Remember, this is truthy. In last class, I explained what is a truthy. A truthy is of which someone has a value. Something has a value. 1 is a value. It means something. 0 is not a truthy because it's a 0 value. Okay. Or none is a 0 value. Basically a falsy value because it does not mean anything. Similarly, 0. Similarly, empty space and so on and so forth. Right. So we are checking if it is a truthy, then print star. Okay. Else because everything else is 0, you have to print a space. Okay. And then if you exit this, because you have to go to the next line, obviously you need to go to the next line, right? Because you need to go to the next line. So you use a print here. Okay. And see, this is a beautiful tree. Now, one thing that I didn't tell you was like in this print, if you use this second argument as in like end like this, okay, then basically it does not go to the next line. But if you don't give it an end, it will go to the next line. That's why we have this here without an end. That is what the solution was. I hope most of you were able to do it. If not, re-watch the videos of previous classes. Okay. I'm asking it again. Is like most of you are able to hear me, right? Just respond to your friends if someone says there is some issue with my voice, okay? Because I saw someone texting, sir, voice when she, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's something like some voice and so on. So you can respond to that person, okay? If everything is okay, then say okay on chat. Okay, 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 okay. Something like that. So, okay. Cool, 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 cool. Okay. Do you guys want me to give you solution for the second one as well? Find duplicates. Okay. I'll repeat it fast. Okay. So it is basically, I gave you this exercise. It had picture, a Christmas tree. I asked you replace 0 with a space, replace 1 with a star, and basically print this beautiful Christmas tree. That's what you had to do here. Pixel is a truthy value because 1 is truthy, 0 is falsy. I explained this in last class. And hence, if you do if and else with an end here, it will print this. This is the same thing that we did yesterday. This is a two-dimensional array. That's why we are using two loops. Okay. I thought Blackbucks shared you this as an assignment. If they didn't, I don't know. Okay. If they didn't, I won't tell you the next solution. And so that you don't enter next line. Okay. 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 So we did parameters. And now I want to tell you about, okay. Basically, ideally, okay, every function, so there are few rules to having functions, okay? There are few rules. So note down. Note it down, it's very important. So rule number 1, these are rules, but not strictly mandatory. In some rare cases, you won't apply them. But rule number 1, okay, note it down. Function should do one thing and one thing really, really well. Okay. What this means is you won't, for example, if I'm creating a function for multiply and division, I don't want to create one single function where like I'm doing both of these things. Rather, I would prefer that I have two individual functions defining both of these functions separately. Okay, that's what it means. Hence, whenever you create a function, you need to make sure that a function has only one and one responsibility. Okay, and then you can reuse it. That's why you are creating a function so that you can reuse it. Okay. Second rule, ideally, in some cases, there will be cases where you don't, but ideally, in some cases, functions should always return something. Okay. Ideally, function should always return something. Up until now, the functions that we saw, they were not returning anything. Okay. But now we will start returning something. Guys, I'm telling you again, I can't share you these live coding samples. So note down these, okay? Either on your laptop or on your notebook. The essential part for this stuff is that you do things yourself because I can only teach you like keyword syntax and maybe things where you are stuck or something is complex. I can't make you learn how to program and build that logic. For that, you need to program yourself for logic building. Okay. And especially when we are going into machine learning section, it will become much, much more complex and harder for you to grasp things. So it's essential you guys write it down and also do it yourself at home. Okay. Okay, then. So let's just say if I want to create a function, okay, if I want to create a function, let's just say I want to create a sum of num1 and num2, okay, num1 and num2. What I can do, I can return num1 and num2. Return is the keyword, which basically tells that, hey, you need to return something, okay? And then what we can do is 4 and 5 and boom, it will work. Okay. Let's make it a different name because sum is also an inbuilt keyword. Okay. So 9. Okay. 4 plus 5, 9. What is happening in here? We defined a function. I told you we use def keyword, def keyword to create a function. Okay. We gave two numbers. We are passing two numbers to it. Ideally, in Python practice, because everything is interpreted, types are inferred. But if you want, if you really care about types in certain cases, you can explicitly declare types. I told you and explained you in the last class. Okay? Okay. So okay, so we have summa and num1, num2, and we are returning num1 and num2, num1 plus num2. Okay, then we print and we are getting it. Why? Because we have this new keyword now, return. Okay, Joshika, which class did you attend? Because I remember in last class I left at parameterized function. Last class is files and exception. Last class is files and exception. Did I take files and exception, sir? Okay. I'm sorry. I was actually undergoing under surgery. Okay. I had a ligament operation. That's why I was not able to take your classes last time. Okay. But I'm continuing from where I left off. So you are saying functions, you have been taught functions already. You already know functions. Half of you are saying no, half of you are saying yes. No, okay. You guys don't know functions. So let me continue, guys. Um, um, okay. When we go to exception handling, we can skip that part. But I am right now nowhere near exception handling. Okay, we are doing basically we are doing a continuation what we did on Monday. I think so. We had a class on Monday, and from there I am continuing. Okay. So I'll just continue from there. I left off at parameterized function. I remember it very clearly. Okay, guys. Guys. Okay. Joshika, clear. Unless you didn't attend the Monday class, then you might be confused. I can't help with that. Okay. So, like I said, we have diff keyword to define a function, return the values of whatever we did inside that function. Okay, we can return apparently anything. There are few things that I already explained, like, okay, you can explicitly define a type, but I'm not doing it because it is inferred. I already told you what is inferred. Inferred means Python is actually analyzing that what's the type of the parameter. For example, 4 and 5. So 4 and 5 are int, and hence int is the type of these parameters, right? But you can, if you want, in some cases, you can explicitly define it. You can also assign it default value, I told in last class, right? And now we are doing this return. So return statement just returns the value, right? Now, assume you already know, okay, how it returns. Assume we have something like this, okay? We have something like this. Now tell me, what would be the output? What would be the output here? Quickly. So you have, I'll count up until 10. Give you answers. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you guys are saying 9. Let's try to see if we get 9. Boom, we don't get 9. Okay. Now, why we don't get 9? Okay. Why we don't get it? Okay. So first thing first, it is true. Sum must be called. We are not even calling sum inside it. Okay. Guys, we need to call sum. We are not calling sum. Right. But, so what we can do? So there are two ways. There are two ways to actually get values out of it. So one is we do something like this. Right. And then we get 9. Right now we are calling sum and we get 9. Cool. That's one way. Another way is, let's say, oh wait, can we do this? Can we do this? Something like this. Can we do something like this? No. So we get this. We'll try to print total. We'll have it here. Then we'll try to get total. Nested local requires, okay. In here also we require 4 and 5. Yeah. So this is how. So you basically, you do something here. So that's the idea. You do something here. Oops. You do something here. Then you are creating a function inside it, and you are returning that function itself. Okay? You're creating the function, and then you are returning that function itself. Okay, guys? Understood? Yes, no? You can ask me questions right now because I'll be stopping with function. So I want you guys to ask me questions. Which part you didn't understand, because it can be complex. Okay, so let me tell it step by step again. Okay, we use def to create a function. We created a nested function, right? We created a nested function. So we created this nested function, and it is taking two arguments, num1, num2. Okay. Then, because we wanted to, we are over smart and we wanted to show our over smartness, we created a nested function. Okay. We created a nested function, basically a function inside a function. Okay. Now we created a nested function called as sum. And then we are also passing it the same parameters, num1 and num2. Now do remember, okay, I'm already explaining from the beginning. You have to listen to it carefully. This is like third time I'm repeating. Okay. So do remember on line number 3, okay, I'll go there at the total part as well. Step by step, guys, please. Okay. So do remember in the nested function, this is actually allocated to a different memory space, and this is allocated to a different memory space. Hence, num1 and num2, which is being passed here, is not being passed in here. So what we did, we use def keyword to create a function. We are expecting 2 arguments of any type, right? Because we didn't define a type. If we want, we can explicitly define a type, right? In line number 3, we created a nested function. This is referring to some another memory part, which is num1 and num2. And what it is doing, it is returning num1 plus num2. Okay. And then after returning in this function itself, if you see, okay, if you see this properly, the indentation, if you look at the indentation carefully, okay, this is the indentation, right? Then we are returning sum from nested. But this sum is not called at all. This is just we are returning sum as a function itself. So we are returning the function itself here. Now what we did in line number 7, we call nested with these two arguments 4 and 5. But do remember this is allocated in another memory space, right? This is allocated in another memory space. Hence, what we did, we assigned this nested to total, but what are we returning in nested? We are returning function signature of sum. Okay, we are not returning any value. We are returning function signature of sum. Hence, what is stored in total? This sum function signature is stored in total. Okay, and then what we can do? We can actually call it again with 4 and 5 because we need to pass it again because again this is stored in different memory space. Period. Okay, if you want, I believe you can potentially call it like wait. You can potentially call it like this as well, right? But this is not how you are supposed to do. Don't do this. Rather, what you should do, ideally, but in some cases, you would want to return a function, okay? So it completely depends on your use cases. But in this scenario, you would like this approach more. Okay. Calling num1 and num2 here itself. Technically, this is a bad implementation and you will know why when I teach you about scopes. Okay. Okay. So I hope everyone understood what are functions. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. NVM, if you are saying no, tell me explicitly what you didn't understand. Sampangi, what you explicitly didn't understand. The ending is devastating. But what? Don't be vague, okay? I can't help you if you are being vague. So you need to be explicit along with no, what you didn't understand. Which part? Which part? Which part? NVM, brother, I don't understand what you are typing. That's basically, I am typing in this language, you are typing a garbage. There is a lot more difference in both of it. So if you don't understand, tell me your issues in this language, not in garbage language. What happens in memory? In memory, we are saving this sum. This is, okay, we are returning sum here, right? This is the function that we are returning. In memory itself, we are saving that sum. In memory itself, we are saving that sum. Okay? No, it's not necessary to write return 2 times. but I am showing you this as an example to understand how return works. What can we return? If you want, we can just return a value itself, and this will work, and then total will have 8. You need to understand how it works actually. Okay, I'm returning some here. Basically, you can return anything. In here, we are returning a function. We are returning this whole function in here. Okay. So how can you call? You can't unless and until you someone returns it. You can't. That's why you will understand that when you understand scopes, and I'll teach you about scopes. Okay. Is the inside function worked as recursion? Recursion is far-fetched. You will understand it when I talk about functional methods. Okay. First of all, you need to get used to with this particular syntax. Get used to this syntax. Can you take time to explain this topic in another way? If I take more time to explain this topic, basically up until 6:30 we'll be doing functions. Okay, but I'll repeat it once again for you. Okay, okay. Let me give all the examples that I did since day one. Okay, for function. If you remember, okay, if you remember, we did this. Okay, I said you write def to create a function. It performs an action. Dry. Do not repeat yourself. This is what I said, that we are creating functions so that you don't have to repeat yourself. We are not limited. Okay. Now, okay, this is bad. Actually, these are bad. And this returns hello, right? Sorry, this prints hello. Now, this is a function, but without a return. This is a function without a return. Okay. This is a function without a return. Cool. Now, I showed you this function, if you remember, okay? And here I'm explicitly defining types str and int. However, you don't need to because Python, okay, already does it. You call name, okay, hello, 18. That's it. Cool. We are printing that. There are two ways to do it. There is another way to call this function is like this. This is what we call keyword argument. Okay. Assume you don't want to call it with keyword argument. Rather, you want to call how you were calling, but maybe you don't want to provide any parameter in here. Okay. Name. And there it is having default value. There it is having default value. I didn't pass any parameters, but I can pass a parameter. Okay. I can pass a parameter. And if I pass a parameter, I'll get value which I am passing. Now, this is up until the point where we did last time in functions. And I told you about return today. Okay. I explained you about return today. As simple as that, we are returning a value. Okay. I think I have explained it enough times now. If you still you don't understand, I would highly advise you to read yourself and try to program it yourself, or re-watch this recorded session again. Okay, then you will understand it what I'm talking about. Okay, we'll move forward. Also, do note, guys, I just re-explained this specific topic. I re-explained this specific topic because I didn't come last class. So it might happen that you might have forgotten, but otherwise, I recommend you ask me questions of the same topic or similar parts in the same class itself and not in the next class. Okay? Because that way we can move forward. Okay. So now we know, okay, we know functions. We already know functions. Now there are a few functions that we have already seen, like this inbuilt functions. Okay. We have seen some inbuilt functions, right? Like we have seen list, or we have seen we have seen this typecasting function int and so on and so on. And these are inbuilt function. Okay. These are inbuilt function. And then we have seen this function, right? That we self-define. This is also a function. Okay. This is also a valid function, correct? We can call it just like this. However, okay, there are something called as methods. Okay. And methods are not called directly. Okay. Methods are not called directly. To call methods, you need to use dot notation. Okay. So if you remember when we were reading about strings, okay, I showed you so many methods on it. Okay, now I have talked about two things, functions and methods. And this is method. This is a method. We use dot notation and then we call a method. Okay, now what is the difference between a function and a method? Okay, so the prime difference between a function and a method is that when you are creating function, it is basically independent. Okay, it is independent. When you are creating a method, it is dependent. For example, in here, this sum is technically independent. It does not depend on anything, right? We can have some argument, but it will only take integer argument. That's completely fine. It can happen here as well. Okay. But when we talk about methods, it is dependent on this string. Okay. And it is performing this operation on top of this string. Obviously, this method can also have arguments. It actually can act as a function, but it acts as a function as a dependency on top of an existing value. Okay. So that is what a method is. That's what you need to know right now. Nothing more. That's it. Tathastu. Okay. So we understood what is method and functions. Okay. Now, when you write functions, there are times when you write functions, there are times when you, okay, for example, let's see this. Okay. When you write list and you hover over it, yeah. Necessary map. Oof. Bad examples. Bad examples. Super bad examples. Okay. Let's just use what we have already learned. So let's do range 0, 100. This is what we already learned. Okay. Okay. So this is a list function, right? And when you hover over this list, boom, boom. Okay. Let's not do list. Let's try to do sum. Yeah, this is a good one. Okay. So you get certain informations and so on and so forth. Okay. In here, this is not giving that information because zoomed up this screen a lot. But what you can do, for example, let's just say if we create a function, assume, okay, and then we can use, you remember this multi-line comments? You can use this multi-line comment, okay, this one. This is a multi-line comment, okay. In Python, it is called docstring, and we can say this is a test function, right? And then we can say, look, okay, pass, because we are not doing anything, right? Let's try to call it. And if you hover over this, it says this is a test function. Now, why it is good? Why it is good? It is good because it gives us some info. Okay, these are now all class based. Anyways, so when you are writing a function based, basically a function, you can use docstring, and in docstring, you can basically annotate that function and give end user description about it. Okay, and give end user description about it. That okay, this is the function, this is what it is doing, and so on and so forth. Right? Now there are two ways. There are particularly two ways to actually get information of that specific function. Example, let's just say help, and then we type sum. By the way, sum is an inbuilt function as well. Okay. Built-in functions, sum in module, built-ins, return the sum of start, so on and so forth. So there is so much description here, right? This is what is coming from this docstring. Similarly, let's just do test, which we wrote ourselves. Okay. There. Test is a function. Boom. Now there is another way actually via which you can get this information. What you can do, you can print and then type the function name. Then you can use dot notation. Okay. Then the dunder sign and then doc. Okay. Underscore, underscore, doc, underscore, underscore. And if you do this, you will get what we have written here. This is only useful for comments or for explaining someone when, especially when you are trying to create your own library or something. That's where you will use this a lot. Okay. Now, guys, there is a small task. Okay. There is a small task. Okay. What you need to do, let's create a function is even. Okay. Let's create a function is even. Okay. And then if num modulus 2 equals 0, okay, which basically means modulus of 2 means we are checking on remainder, okay, then return true, okay. Else if num modulo 2 is not equal 0, okay, then return false. Oh, I messed up with indentation. False, okay, and I also mess up here. This takes num as an argument, okay. And now if I check print is even, right, and I pass, for example, T1, it gives me false, right? It gives me false because it is not even. Now, what I want you guys to do, you take note of this program and clean it, okay? Clean it as in try to accomplish the same thing in less number of lines with whatever you have learned up until now. Okay? You guys have 1 minute to do it. Think and do it in 1 minute. It's 1746. I'll stop at 1747. Or sorry, it's 1748. Do it. And type your answer on the Zoom chat. I hope everyone understood the question. I just said, I have given you a function. There is this solution. It works. But I want you guys to clean it. Okay. I want you guys to make this concise. Implement the same thing, but using less number of lines. How can you clean this function? Try to use the tools that I have given you up until now. Try it. Give me a code snippet. Okay, Prem Sai. That works to some extent. It's correct partially. I haven't taught anything called Lambda up until now. Okay, guys, I'll tell you the answer. Okay, I'll tell you the answer. So, one approach is, so first step, let's just say if we use else, okay, because we are only checking two values, we don't really need to check on the second one. Definitely, okay. We can just do something like this. Okay, else this. Print, boom, it works. Okay, just try to do something because it's always showing false, so you might be confused. It works, right? That's one way to do. But since we are returning it, we can actually remove else altogether. Okay, and what we can say that if this is true, return now, and it will break the function that then and there, it won't go to line number 4. But if it is false, it will go to line number 4. It will go to line number 4, okay, and return false. Okay, let's see. This is true, right? What about if it is 51? False. Correct. Now this can be made even cleaner. This can be made even more cleaner. What we can do, we can remove basically everything up until here. Okay. And then we can just return this. You see, power of return. False. True. Because this is an expression that computes a Boolean, we can just return that expression. Okay. Which is computing a Boolean. And hence we don't really need to type that whole if else and so on and so forth. Now imagine we had this code of 4 or 5 lines and this one of 2 lines. It's much cleaner and you still understand what is happening in here. Right? So whoever is typing return true if and modulo 0 else false whatever, you don't need to do that. That's wrong. Okay. I have given you a solution. This is a straightforward solution. You use this function. Just return the computing calculation of if something is even or not. We are only checking for even. If it is even, it will return true. If it is odd, it will return false. Make sense? I already checked it with odd. Let me do it once more for you. False. It works. Yeah, it works. Okay. Okay. Now, so there's something called as in functions, there is something called as arguments and keyword arguments. Okay. We have something called as arguments and keyword arguments. Cool. In arguments, this is how you define it. Args. I mean, it's called args, but it's, I don't know, it's so weird. Args. And then this is star quarks. So like quarks, basically keyword args. Okay. So that's args, that's quarks. Now, in a function, for example, let's see. How does args work? So if we are making a function called as name, okay, and then we say args, okay, and then we try to return, or let's say let's type here marks, and then we return sum of args, and we also try to print args here, and let's see what we get. Print args. Okay. And now let's call marks. Wait. Print marks. And we can give it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what arg does. We can basically supply it with n number of arguments. Okay. And we don't need to write it there. That's what args does. Okay. It is also there in C++ if you would have paid attention in that class. Okay. Now it throws an error. Why? It says it takes only one positional argument, but were given 5. What did we miss? Yes, we missed an asterisk. So we need to give an asterisk to tell this program that, hey, we need an asterisk, and hence what? We are basically seeking arguments. Okay. And that's how we get it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then there is quarks. Okay. Okay. Then there is quarks. What does quarks do? Okay. So arg is for something like tuple, set, okay, or an array. Ideally, it transitions into tuple. But if you want a dictionary, okay, if you want a dictionary, basically, which takes a key value pair, then you will use quarks, basically, okay, which is keyword arguments. How do you pass keyword arguments in here? Okay, how do you pass keyword arguments in here? What you can say is assume quarks, and then we need to do, let's see if we can do this. And we have marks where we basically have, oops, Give me Let's say we are passing name equals 1. Okay. Raju, age equals 18. Right. And let's see what we get. Because this is an interpreted language, it executed up until this print, and we are getting a dictionary called as name Raju, age 18, but it basically exists here because some expects a list. Some expects a list. Okay. Oh, oops. Okay. Now, assume you have, assume, let's just say, we can do something like this, right? If you remember, we were using, let's make it num. So that, anyways, that will be another. Is num 18, 14, num 1. That was a bad example, but that won't even execute anyways. Okay? But don't ask me to show an example again. Okay. So num 1, num 2, let's just say that. Okay. We already did this on dictionary. We were iterating over values and we are adding it. Total is 0. Let's see what we get. 14, we don't get anything. Why is that? Why is that? Because we need to have a return. Okay, we need to have a return that totals everything. Okay, right. Now we are getting total. Assume we are also using args in here. Assume we are also using args in here. You remember args takes what? It takes an array, right? And we are passing arguments as such 1, 2, 3, right? Then what we can do, we can nest it something like this. We can use our sum keyword, pass it args like I showed in previous example, and we can merge everything. And now we are getting 38. How we are getting 38? 3 plus 3 is 6. 14 plus 18, 32 plus 6, 38. Boom. Works. Right? Everyone understood what is args and wargs. Okay. So args and quarks, we understood. There is one rule that you guys need to note down and keep in mind. Okay. There is one rule that you need to note down and keep in mind, which is this. This is how you ideally define your function when you are using args and keyword arguments. So rule is you first pass in params. Okay. If you are passing an argument, that is the if. If you are passing an argument, then you pass argument at the second number. Okay. Then you pass parameter. So default parameter argument. Okay. And lastly, you pass a keyword argument if you have a keyword argument. Okay, so you need to maintain this order. This is a standard that is followed. Okay? Okay? I mean, you guys can cross check because my as per my knowledge, this is the correct order. Okay? Params, arguments, default params, keyword arguments. Okay, this is the standard usually followed. Okay. Let's move forward. Do note that rule. We are moving forward. So, first of all, what is a scope? Okay, scope is basically determining what variables do I have access to. Up until now, at various places, you have seen the use of scopes. Okay, why we are defining scopes and how we are defining scopes in Python is we follow an indentation rule, hence via which we are defining, okay, this program starts here and ends here. This is determined by this indentation block, right? So any argument within the scope is accessible to me. This is what we are doing. So quickly, all of you tell me what would be the output of this program. Quickly tell me what would be the output of this program. So the output would be 1 and 5. Okay, guys, we have two prints, not one. So we have 1 and 5. Okay, the output is 1 and 5. Why? Because this A is in only this confusion scope. Okay, this A is only in this confusion scope. Okay, and this A is globally available to us. This A is globally available to us. This is outside this confusion scope. Hence, we are able to access A, which is here, but we are not able to access A, which is here. But within confusion, confusion cannot access A, which is outside, but confusion can access only A, which is present inside. Right? So that's what we are doing. That's why we get 1 and 5. So in confusion, we assign 5 to A, and that is what we are getting here. Right? If we make it 1, if we make it 5, then you will see the output would be different. 5, 1, right? Scope is pretty simple. Up until now, we have been tapping into scopes, but this is what you should understand. Okay, this is the use of scope. Something is in scope and something is not in scope. Now, assume this is B. Okay, this is B, and I want to do something like B plus 1. Okay, I want to do something like B plus 1, and let's see if we get an output here. Okay, right, we are able to get an output here, correct? What about if I do something like this, and then we are doing something like this? And no, we are not. Okay, so Python is a bit weird in this scenario. When you are directly accessing a value of expression, then the Python should be the variable should be initialized within the scope. Okay, B is a global variable. Hence, it cannot be changed inside the scope unless and until we give it a hint that, okay, now you want to change this. Okay, because you need to point to this specific memory and you need to change it. So how we can do it is, okay, you need to use a keyword called as global, and then you can tell confusion that hey, B is global and it can be shared and modified. So this is shared and modified, and now it works, right? This is good. Obviously, this is good. You can work with it. But there is another way how you can achieve the same thing, okay, which can be a bit more cleaner depending on your choice, because this might become a bit verbose, always typing global. You can rather directly pass in B in here, which is coming from global assignment, okay, and then you can pass B in here, and if you check, yes, now we have access to global variable as well. Correct? So that is what, that is how we use global variable. Okay. Now, in Python 3, in one of the latest versions, there is another keyword. It's called as, it is recently added, it's called as non-local. Okay. It's called as non-local. So let's just say if I make, let's try make it, this is okay, wait, diff outer, okay, then we define assume x, and then we are saying in outer variable x, this is local to us. Okay, and we are saying that inner function, okay, inner function is non-local. Okay, and hence we can modify x. Okay, we can modify x and we can make it something like non-local. Okay, and let's try to understand how it works. So let's print this. Okay, let's print this print, and let's print outer one, which is print outer, okay, and x. Now, if you remember, I just said specifically in this one, assume in this example, I said this global is shared, right? This global is shared. Henceforth, if you, let's just say, assume if you are printing total, comment this. If you are printing total, let's just see what we get. We get 0. Obviously, because we are not modifying that, but we are using it here, right? But when we use count and all, we can actually get the value, right? Now, non-local works in the same way. Non-local works in a very similar fashion. This is how you can visualize it. If I run this, okay, wait, I need to call this. So if I run this, and I also need to call inner. Okay. So if I run this, you see what has happened is one, it went inside non-local, right, x, and then it sort of modified the outer one as well. But when we were taking the global approach, it was not modifying the outer one. That is the exact difference. However, potentially, I don't think you will use this either way. You might, depending on, I don't know, but potentially you won't use this. Okay? Okay? So everyone understood this? Or should I explain it once more? Before I move to some important method, are you guys having any questions? You can ask me. I'll give you 2 minutes to ask me question. Okay, it's all clear. Cool. I'll move forward now. Okay. So let's create a list. Okay. These are some lists. Okay. No, non-local is a keyword. It's not a data type. Okay. Let's just create a list. 1, 2, 3. Assume, okay, how we can do it for us. Okay, if we create, yes, you can use it if you have nested it, but I would strongly suggest you guys to practice it. Try to experiment with different combinations. Okay, try to practice with different combinations. You will figure it out a lot. Okay, so just moving forward, let's we created a list 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and let's assume we want to get only odd numbers from it. Okay, we want to get only odd numbers from this list. Okay, how we'll do this? Return item percent to, I showed you this already. Okay, how you will clean it? 0. Okay, is my voice unclear? Is my voice unclear? So my voice is clear to everyone, right? Most of the guys are saying it's clear and audible. Mahesh and some other person, if you guys are having issues, it's probably your connection issues or there is some internet issues on your end. Okay, try to fix that, because if it's bad on my side, none of you will be able to hear it. Okay, so Vyapli, Ramya, I can't help it because 80% of the people are able to hear me. Probably it's an issue with your system or your network connection or your internet. Okay, try to fix that up. Okay, so we created this, right? Now, what Python does, it gives us an amazing function called as filter. Okay, it gives us amazing inbuilt function called as filter, of which we need to give first argument as what we want to check it on. What is the truthy value for this? What are we checking it on? Okay, and then we need to pass it a list. Now what it does inside filter, it will iterate. Okay, we need to pass a iterable, so it has to be a iterable. It can be a list, it can be a set, it can be a tuple. Okay, so it will iterate over this list 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it will iterate over this list, and then every time when it iterates, it will pass this value to this only odd function that we have passed in first argument. Okay, and it will check if it is true or false, right? If it is true, if it comes to be true, it will return it. If it comes to be true, it will return it. Okay. Yes, it can also be called higher order function. Oops, I already printed. When you print it, you see we get 1 and 3. It's very simple, very easy to understand. Okay, I'm explaining it again so that you can grasp it easily. So we are using filter. Filter is provided to us by Python. Okay, it takes first argument as a function where we are getting true or false and passing values, each individual value one by one to check on those conditions. Okay, to check on those conditions if whether it is coming to be true or false. So what is happening here? And in the second argument, I need to pass the list that I want to filter. Okay, in the second argument, I need to pass an iterable that I want to filter. I pass this iterable, and what is happening? It iterates over 1. It passes 1 in only odd. It checks this condition. It returns true because it is an odd, and hence return it here. So we get 1, which is stored in a list. Okay. Same goes here. Again, it goes to 2. It returns false, hence it does not return true. It returns a false. Because it returns a false, The second value is not filtered. It is not stored. Okay. Then 3, it is odd. It is filtered. True. 4, not filtered. False. Right. And hence why we are getting 1 and 3. Is this clear to everyone? Yes, no, yes, no. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. Okay. Assume. So we have another function called as zip. You will use this a lot. Okay. So remember this zip one. You will use this a lot. So do remember zip. Avinash, I told iterables. Okay. When I am saying iterables, it means iterables. Now you should know what are iterables by now. I have covered everything from zero basic. What are those iterative data structures? Okay. Now, zip. Again, you can pass 2 iterables and it will zip it. Okay, it will zip it. And this is how it zips. You will use this a lot and we will see a lot more combination of this going forward in the class. Okay. For example, if you have a large database, you want to combine 2 particular column in that particular database, you might use zip. So this is used a lot. Hence, remember it. What it does, it creates a pair or mapping. Okay, one-to-one mapping with list A to list B. Okay. Hence, what it is doing, 1, 10, 2, 20, 3, 30. Imagine if you want to zip name and age. You can do that. And if they both are stored in different columns. Okay. And you want to perform an operation tuple-wise on both of them. Okay. Iterables. Sudhir, iterables. You can experiment with it. Now, I won't repeat what is iterable. So don't ask me that. You should already know by far because we are at the end of this class. Or you need to refer previous videos. Okay? Okay, guys? Okay. Now, there are certain functions which Python provides, and we can actually import that. Up until now, we were just using all inbuilt ones. Sometimes we need to import certain things. So one of the functions that we can import is called reduce, which can be imported from functools, and we can import as such. Okay. So we imported reduce from functools package. We imported reduce from functools package. Okay. Now assume I have a list. This, listen guys, this is used by advanced programmers a lot, and try to understand this pattern because you will be really confused, and I'll explain it in a very simple terms. So if you miss it now, don't expect me to explain it again. I'll take questions on it, but it is confusing, hence you need to understand it now. Okay. Now, we created a function called as accumulator so as to explain you what it will do. Okay. Now, print reduce. Okay. Now reduce takes 3 arguments. Okay. Reduce takes 3 arguments. First argument is your accumulator function. Okay. Your accumulator is the one which is performing an operation on every iteration. Just like filter. Okay. In filter, you are going one by one, item by item, right? In here also, your second argument is an array, a list, okay, an iterable, and you are going over it one by one. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So your first argument is your iterable, your accumulator function, your logic. Your second one is which iterable, we want to iterate over. In this case, we are using my list. Okay, we are using my list. And then third argument is 0. Okay, third argument is, sorry, not 0. Third argument is your initialized value. Your initialized value. We need to initialize with some value to the accumulator as first parameter. Henceforth, we are having two arguments that we are passing. If you remember, in our filter, we were passing only one. But in reduce, we are taking two arguments in our logic. One is accumulator, another is item. This accumulator is nothing but this initialized value. This accumulator is nothing but this initialized value. This is what we are passing. What it does, it returns accumulator plus item. It returns that and updates this initialized value. It updates this initialized value. Okay. If I run this, you will understand it better. So see, I already told we'll iterate over this list because I passed second argument as list 1, 2, 3. Okay. It took first argument as 0 in accumulator, correct? And then it took 1. Okay. Because 1 is the first element. Initialized item 0, 1 is the first element. We printed accumulator, which is 0 and 1. Okay, what we are performing? An action, accumulator plus item. What is 0 plus 1? 0 plus 1 is 1. Henceforth, the next time when it iterates for 2, okay, when it iterates for 2, accumulator is what? It's 1 now. It is updated, right? We updated this initialized value. 0 plus 1, it is 1, okay? And we are mapping it to 2, this item. Then what happens to 1 plus 2? It becomes 3. So accumulator is updated to what? Accumulator is updated to 3. So this becomes 3 now. Okay, this becomes 3 now. And hence it maps for 3. And now we pass 3 as an accumulator and the third item. And we try to add it. What it becomes? 6. That's how we are performing reduce. Is this understandable to everyone? Any questions on reduce? Type, guys, type. It will be hard for me to unmute and mute. Take 5 minutes. I'll repeat it again. I'll repeat it again. Other than that, anyone has any questions? Or else I'll repeat it. Okay, I'll just repeat it. Cool. So first line, what we did, we imported reduce from where? From functools. Functools is what? It is basically an inbuilt package. We are importing from package. We are importing what? A reduce function, right? Reduce takes 3 arguments. Unlike filter, filter used to take 2 arguments. One was, okay, one was, we will see map later on, but if you want, you can discover it yourself early on. Okay, we'll see it when we start data science. Okay, later in the course. For now, you just need to focus on reduce. So when we have reduce, it takes 3 arguments. It is very similar to how filter was working, but filter was working with 2 arguments. It was having a conditional function, okay, and having a list, and then it was iterating over that list. Okay, now reduce has a function which reduces the value. Okay, it has a reducible function. It reduces the value. Okay, when I say reduces does not mean it will subtract. Okay, when I say reduces, it means that we have a list or a set or something, a large comprehension, and we are reducing it to a single value. Okay, so it reduces to a single value or so. Okay, so that is what accumulator does. The second argument is list. Again, this is what we will iterate over. Third argument is what is the initial value? Initial value is here, 0, ACK. Okay, ACK. That is why we passed in 2 arguments in here. That is why we passed in 2 arguments in here. ACK and item. Okay, and we print accumulator, item, accumulator, item. So what is happening on every iteration? This function is triggered and accumulator is updated. We started with 0. And it is updated, and finally we get 6. Yes, sum is doing the same, but it is not using reduce internally, right? But sum does roughly the same thing. You can look at sum's implementation, how they have implemented sum internally. I don't know. Maybe they have used reduce. I don't know, to be honest. Okay. Guys, any questions? Okay. No questions. So we have used this pattern already, but I didn't tell you the name. I didn't tell you why, when, where we use it. Okay. But basically, now we'll read about list comprehensions. Okay. Or set comprehensions. They both work the same way. Okay. They both work the same. Typically, even dictionary works the same way, but I'll tell you what is the difference. Okay. How do you create a list comprehension? So it is divided into 3 parts. Okay. First part is value. Okay. Value or value expression. Okay. Second part is loops. Okay. In second part, it has loops. Third part is it has conditionals, any condition that you want to apply. So let's try. Okay. Let's try one by one. For example, I want to create a list as such. Okay. And let's try to print it. Will it work? What it is saying, hey, store the value in this char, okay, for each character in hello string. Boom. HELLO. It is stored, right? And we created a list out of it. For set, you just need to change the curly braces, right? And same for tuples. So this is what a very simple example of, oh, sorry. No, give me 1 minute, guys. I need to drink water. Okay, back. Right. So value or value expression loops. Okay, what I was telling you. Yeah. So this is one example. What can we do with it? So I said value or value expression, right? I said value or value expression. So this becomes a value expression, right? We are performing some operation, we are multiplying something in here. Let's see what we get. Cool. We are getting this huge list where like everything is multiplied by 2. Okay. What if we want to get this value? What if we want to get this value, this list, only, let's do it for up until 10. Only for even numbers. Okay. Only for, then we can pass in third part, which is our conditional. Very simple. No hard logic behind it. First one is expression, value expression or value. Second part is loop. Third part is conditions. Okay. This works the same for all set, tuple, and all. For dictionary, there is only one change. For dictionary, there is only one change. Okay. For dictionary, there is only one change. For example, we create a simple dictionary called as A1, B2, C3. Now we can extract both key and value. By the way, you can name it anything. I use K and V because it is a standard naming practice. Okay. You can name anything, but I use K and V because it is a standard naming practice. Okay. What I am trying to get is calculate power of So calculate power of this value, for you are iterating over each item, getting key and values. If k is equals c, right? And let's see what we get. C equals to 9, right? We had 3 and we got 9. It's very simple. Your exercise is you have to experiment more with dictionary and play around with key and values a lot. How you can play around with it to understand this better. Okay? Okay, guys, understood? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Okay, I'll repeat once more. This is called list comprehension. List comprehension has usually 3 parts. One, it has, and these are mostly optional parts, okay? But these two are mandatory: value expression and loops. So you can have a value expression, then you can have a loop. Technically, if you go linearly, everything is optional, okay? You can have value expression, okay? Satyanarayana, up until now, there is no computer science thing that I taught. Everything I started from zero, like legit zero. If you attended from day one, you would literally not require any computer science background. Okay? If you are having difficulty, potentially you might have missed any class, or you can ask me to repeat that specific topic. Okay? Okay. So that is why I taught Python from really basics, because I knew a lot of you guys are from non-computer science branch. Okay. Yes, yes. So go linearly. Okay. You can have a value 2, then you can have 2 into 2, then you can add a loop, and then you can add a condition. So you can go linearly one by one. Okay. So idea is a list comprehension as these 3 parts. Okay. First part is an expression. In this dict scenario, this is an expression. What we are saying, key and value is the argument, where basically we are multiplying, we are calculating computing power of value of 2. Okay. And then I already told you how to iterate over dictionaries using items. Okay. So for KV, for key and value in simple dictionary items, okay, then our third parameter, if k equals c, this is our condition. So we try to iterate it. We check if k is c, then calculate this value 2 into 2 and assign it to key 3. Okay, that's what we are doing. Understood? Understood? Any questions? Any questions on list comprehension, guys? I have one doubt. If v prints in dict, is it updated? Let's try it. If you have doubt, always try it. Okay. That's why I'm saying you guys have to also practice it yourself. You guys have to practice it yourself as well. A1, B2, C3, right? That is why we are creating a new dictionary. Okay. Very fast, we created a dictionary. It has 3 parts: value expression, loops, condition. This is a value expression. Key, we are saying assign this key, okay, value, compute this power to 2, loop through dictionary, iterate using items keyword, get key and value, compare key equals to C, and then at C you will get 9. Done. Okay, all well and simple. Let's move forward, guys. Okay. So this is the final topic, and after this, we will move into an IDE. Guys, now you have multiple options that you can install. Either install VS Code, okay, but you will face some complexity while installing VS Code, okay. Meher, I told in last class, don't ask me attendance link. If you want to ask it to any Blackbucks guy. I don't want, I am not responsible for that. Let me complete the task. This is last topic that I will teach you after this. Okay. So you can, in the next class, either you can install VS Code or PyCharm. Okay. It's hard for me to show you guys in individual systems, but installation is very simple. You guys can refer it online. Very simple. Okay. You can use both of these things. For the next topic, you can use PyCharm. I'll show you how to install Conda, and I'll also show you how to install Jupyter. But I might be only able to show you on Mac, okay, because I have a Mac. If you can install Anaconda and Jupyter on Windows yourself, it is well and good. If you can't, I'll at least give you a rough synopsis on how to do it. Okay. But in that class, I won't waste a lot of time to figure out what is the issue in your system. Because if we do that, we'll be stuck in that whole class just doing installation. And I want to make the class productive. Okay, guys? I'm telling it beforehand. So do not complain. Sir didn't teach us about installation on Windows. Okay? So don't complain. Okay, so we have something, final topic. We have something called as Lambda. Okay? So why do we use Lambda? Harshit Sai, are you not able to hear me properly? Am I to speak some other language? I'm sorry, I don't know Telugu. Don't ask me attendance. In which language I want to speak, so you will understand. Ask attendance to the Blackbucks guys, not to me. Okay. Now let me continue with what I was teaching. So a lambda function, okay, is basically an anonymous function inside another function. Okay. Sorry, I'm wrong. A lambda function basically is an anonymous function, but mostly it is used inside another function. That's where you see it being used the most. Okay. There is where you will see it being used the most. What is an anonymous function? An anonymous function is a function. An anonymous function is a function where basically it does not have a function signature. Okay. So let's say, and we created this lambda function. Okay. And now let's try to call it. We gave my func and we provided 2, right? And we also need to provide another function. Let's give it 3. Okay. Now, what is happening here? What is happening here? Okay. We created a function, and I said we created an anonymous function. Anonymous function, so we didn't define any name. Remember, when we were doing this nested function, we were creating a name. With lambda, we don't need to define a name. We just can write lambda, and we can say that, okay, it takes one argument. It can take basically any number of arguments, okay? We can pass it any number of arguments. But you can experiment with it. I leave that task to you as a homework. Playing around with multiple arguments, okay? And you can call it like this, my func 2, 3. So 2 is getting passed to this my function, 3 is getting passed as an argument here to lambda. Okay, so A is 3. Very simple, very simple. Okay. Now, assume let's see what happens if we don't pass 3 here. Let's see what happens. Boom. Nothing. Right? Nothing happens. Oops. Because I missed, but something should happen. Okay. We get a function signature. Correct? So I already told you, Sudhir, all the methods that you need to know to pass in values to inner function. I taught you about global, inner local, and lambdas, and so on and so forth. I also showed you how you call nested functions. Okay. So this is what lambda is. You might see more complex examples coming forward in coming classes, but you just need to understand this is what it is. We just created an anonymous function, we perform some operation. Okay. Is it clear to everyone? Okay. That's it, guys. From next class, we will actually next class we will actually go through modules and all. When I start teaching that, I'll explain you modules and everything in the editor, and we'll start our data science class. First, we'll set up our environment to work on data science stuff, and then we will start our data science stuff. Everything that you needed to know on Python, you know, at least for the class. There are many things that you don't know that you can learn by yourself. For example, you don't know classes, object oops, encapsulation, so on and so forth. You can explore it yourself. Okay? It's not big enough. You already know all the foundations by now. You already know all the foundations by now. Okay, guys. Also, next class, I'll try to turn on my webcam. I'm sorry. I am actually in quite a pain, so that's why I didn't turn on my webcam. I don't want to show you my sick face. I only want to show you guys my beautiful face. So when that happens, I'll do that. Okay? If you guys have any questions, you can ask me now or I'll drop off the call. Any questions related to my class, okay? I'll only answer that, not attendance. Okay, I think everyone is just interested in attendance. I'll drop off the class. Okay, guys? Is OOPS required for data science? At least for our course, no. But if you want to become much more productive programmer, learn it. It's a good tool set to have. For things that I'll show, I usually do functional programming. So I won't tap into classes a lot. But if I tap into it, I'll show it to you. But it's good skill set to have. You should know it. Okay, guys. I believe no one is having any questions. I'll drop. Okay. Bye. Thanks a lot.
Hello, sir. Hello. Hello, guys. You don't leave. హలో గైస్ హియర్ వీ కెన్ తెలుగులో చెప్తున్నాను. ఇప్పుడు మనకి ట్యాప్ ట్యాప్ అనే ఒక ప్లాట్ఫామ్ లో మీరు ఎలా లాగిన్ అవ్వాలి, దాన్ని ఎలా యూజ్ చేయాలో దీని ద్వారా తెలుసుకోండి. ఇప్పుడు నేను మీకు ఒక లింక్ షేర్ చేస్తాను. ఆ లింక్ ని మీరు క్లిక్ చేస్తే మీకు ఇలా రీడైరెక్ట్ అవుతుంది. ఈ లింక్ ని యూజ్ చేసుకునేసి మీరు ఓపెన్ చేస్తే ఇలా ఓపెన్ అవుతుంది. తర్వాత ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆస్కింగ్ ఆర్ యూ ఏ స్టూడెంట్ సైన్ ఇన్. Yes, you are a student, then you can go through this. Choose your email account and then sign in. No, if you are one sign in, then the name and you want to register your name and mobile number. Then again college. I am from Vellore Institute of Technology. Then you want to enter the student ID. Then click on submit. When you are registered, you can find the another page. I'll open. Once you log in, ఇలా మీకు ఒక పేజ్ రీడైరెక్ట్ అవుతుంది. తర్వాత ఇక్కడికి వచ్చిన తర్వాత మీరు లోకి కనుక వెళ్ళారనుకోండి, మీకు ఇక్కడ చూపిస్తుంది. మీది ఏఎండ్ఎంఎల్ కాబట్టి మీ కోర్స్ ఏఎండ్ఎంఎల్ షార్ట్ టర్మ్ ఇంటర్న్షిప్ డైలీ టెస్ట్ అండ్ అసైన్మెంట్ సెషన్స్ లోకి వెళ్ళి మీరు ఎన్రోల్ చేసుకోవాలి. మీరు వన్స్ ఎన్రోల్ చేసుకున్న తర్వాత మీకు ఇలా కనపడుతుంది వ్యూ లెసన్ అని. దెన్ యూ కెన్ గో. దెన్ యూ కెన్ ఫైండ్ ద నోట్స్ and videos and summary all. Here we divided the sessions overview. In sessions, you can find the video links and the videos of every session previously done by the sir. And you can go through assessments. Then you can find the assessment links and clicking take test. You can start the exam. You can take the test by this way. And you have another resources. Then you can find the materials and notes or summary given by the sir and the Blackbucks. Clear the information. If any queries, ఈ అసెస్మెంట్స్ కి 3 months డ్యూ డేట్స్ ఉంది. అలానే మీకు ఒక లింక్ షేర్ చేస్తాను. ఒకవేళ మీకు ఏదన్నా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నానా, లాగిన్ ఇష్యూస్ ఉన్నా మీరు ఆ ఫామ్ లో మీరు ఫిల్ చేసేయచ్చు. కాలేజ్ ఐడి నెంబర్ అందుకంటే మీకు కాలేజ్ లో మీకు ఒక రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ నెంబర్ లైక్ అటెండెన్స్ లో రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ నెంబర్ ఇలాంటివి యూజ్ చేయాలి. నేను ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ మీకు అటెండెన్స్ ఫాము అలానే ట్యాప్ లింక్ షేర్ చేస్తాను చూడండి. తర్వాత మీకు ఫార్మ్స్ యొక్క లింక్ షేర్ చేస్తాను చూసుకోండి. మీకు ఏదైనా క్వైరీస్ ఉన్నా ఎటువంటి డౌట్స్ ఉన్నా వీటికి కాంటాక్ట్ అవ్వండి. ఆ ఫామ్ ని ఫిల్ చేయండి. వి విల్ కమ్ టు యూ. యూ ప్లీజ్ టెల్ మీ. కంపల్సరీగా చేయాలి వీటిని. అర్థమైందా? ఒకవేళ ఏదైనా మీకు క్వైరీస్ ఉన్నా ఈ ఫామ్ ఒక ఫామ్ లింక్ షేర్ చేస్తాను. ఆ ఫామ్ లింక్ కి మీరు దాన్ని ఫిల్ చేసా మేము మీ దగ్గరికి కాంటాక్ట్ అవుతాము. తర్వాత లింక్ షేర్ చేస్తున్నాను. ఇంకేమన్నా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే చెప్పండి. చూడండి, నేను మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి మీకు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను. ఇలా ట్యాప్ ట్యాప్ అనేది ఇలా రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ అడుగుతుంది. మీరు క్లిక్ చేయగానే దాని నుంచి మీరు ఈమెయిల్‌తో సైన్ ఇన్ అయ్యా, ఇలా ఒక ఫామ్ వస్తుంది. దాంతో మీ నేమ్, మొబైల్ నంబర్, అలానే కాలేజ్ నేమ్ విత్ మీ స్టూడెంట్ ఈమెయిల్ ఐడీతో లాగిన్ అయిన తర్వాత మీకు ఇలాంటి ఒక యూజర్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ వస్తుంది. అంటే లైక్ ఇలా డాష్‌బోర్డ్ వస్తుంది. ఈ డాష్‌బోర్డ్ దగ్గర నుంచి మీరు లెర్న్‌లోకి గాన వెళ్లారనుకోండి, ఇక్కడ మీకు చూపిస్తుంది లెసన్ ప్లాన్స్ అండ్ కోర్సెస్. మీరు లెసన్ ప్లాన్స్‌లోకెళ్ళేసి మీకీ ఏఎండ్ఎంఎల్ కాబట్టి ఏఎండ్ఎంఎల్‌ని చూసేసుకొని దాన్ని ఎన్రోల్ చేసుకోవాలి మీరు కోర్స్‌ని. మీరు వన్స్ ఎన్రోల్ చేసుకున్న తర్వాత ఇక్కడ మీకు చాలా డిఫరెంట్ టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ నావ్ బార్ కనపడుతుంది. దాంతో ఓవర్‌వ్యూ ఒక సెక్షన్, సెషన్ అనే ఒక సెక్షన్, అసెస్మెంట్ అనే సెక్షన్, రిసోర్స్ అనే సెక్షన్ ఉంటుంది. దాంతో ఓవర్‌వ్యూలో మీకసలు ఈ క్లాస్ యొక్క ఓవర్‌వ్యూ మొత్తం ఇక్కడుంటుంది. అంటే లైక్ మీకు సంబంధించిన సమ్మరీ గాని, అసెస్మెంట్స్ గాని, నోట్స్ గాని, తర్వాత వీడియో లింక్స్ గాని ఇక్కడుంటుంది. ఇక్కడ సెషన్స్ అంటే సార్ చెప్పిన ప్రీవియస్ వీడియోస్ ఆర్ క్లాసెస్ ఇక్కడ సెషన్స్‌లో ఉంటాయి. దెన్ యూ కెన్ ప్లే అండ్ అలానే అసెస్మెంట్‌కొస్తే ఇక్కడ అసెస్మెంట్స్‌లో మీకు టాస్క్‌లుంటాయి. అంటే మీకు టెస్ట్‌లుంటాయి. ఇక్కడ ఈ టెస్ట్‌లన్నీ రాయాలి. ఎంప్లాయ్‌మెంట్ టెస్ట్ రాయాలి. అలానే ఏఎండ్ఎంఎల్ అసెస్మెంట్స్ రాయాలి. వీటికి ఎక్స్‌పైర్ వచ్చేసి 3 మంత్స్ ఉంటుంది. దాన్ని బిఫోర్ ప్రతి వీక్ అప్పటికప్పుడు కంప్లీట్ చేసుకోవడం బెటర్. కానీ ఎక్స్‌పైర్ వచ్చేసి 3 మంత్స్ ఉంటుంది. ఇవి అయిపోయిన తర్వాత ఇక్కడ మీకు రిసోర్స్ అనే ఇంకో ఆప్షన్ కనపడుతుంది. ఆ రిసోర్స్‌లో మీకు కావాల్సిన మెటీరియల్స్ దాని యొక్క సమ్మరీస్ మీకు ఇక్కడ దొరుకుతాయి. ఇంకా లెస్ మార్క్స్ వస్తే అది మీరు మేము దాన్ని ఇంటిమేట్ చేస్తాం ఎలా అనేసి. ఎంప్లాయ్‌మెంట్ టెస్ట్ అని చూసుకోవాలి. మీకు ఎటువంటి క్వెరీస్ ఉన్నా సరే మీరు ఈ ఫార్మ్‌ని ఫిల్ చేస్తే వి విల్ కమ్ టు యూ. ఐ విల్ షేరింగ్ ఆల్ లింక్స్. ఇది ట్యాప్ ట్యాప్ లింక్. ఈ రోజు యొక్క అటెండెన్స్. ఓకే. వి విల్ సెండ్ ఇట్ ఇన్ టెలిగ్రామ్ గ్రూప్స్ ఆల్సో. ఎగ్జిస్ట్. ఇప్పుడు మీ మొబైల్ నంబర్ ఇలా ఎగ్జిస్ట్ అయితే మీరు ఒకసారి మేము షేర్ చేసిన ఫార్మ్‌ని ఫిల్ చేస్తే వి విల్ కాంటాక్ట్ యూ. సో గైస్ మీకు ఎటువంటి డౌట్ ఉన్నా వాటిలో చూసుకోండి. మేము మీకు లింక్ షేర్ చేసాము. ట్యాప్ లోకి వెళ్తే మీరు వెబ్సైట్ కి వెళ్తారు, మీ యొక్క ప్లాట్ఫామ్ లో చూసుకోవచ్చు. అలానే మీకు ఏదైనా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే ఆ ఫామ్ లో ఫిల్ చేయండి. ఇంకా అటెండెన్స్ ఇష్యూస్ ఇప్పుడు ఏం లేవు. ఒకసారి అటెండెన్స్ లింక్ మీద మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి క్లిక్ చేయండి. మీ కాలేజ్ ఆప్షన్ లేకపోతే మీరు అదర్స్ సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఇక్కడ మీకు ట్యాప్ లింక్ ఇచ్చాను, తర్వాత అలానే ఫామ్ లింక్ ఇచ్చాను, అటెండెన్స్ లింక్ ఇచ్చాను. మీకు ఏదన్నా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే ఆ ఫామ్ లో ఫిల్ చేయండి. జస్ట్ ఎన్రోల్ మీద క్లిక్ చేస్తే అది రిజిస్టర్ అని అడుగుతుంది. దాన్ని జస్ట్ ఎన్రోల్ చేయడం అంతే. ఓకే గైస్, విల్ వి వైండ్ అప్?